Shruti, Tarini, and one more madam. If it's all the same with you, shall we go ahead and wait for a couple of minutes? Meanwhile, if you have had any questions about our previous sessions, please do come ahead, unmute yourself and ask those questions, get it clarified. That gives other people to join in. At the same time, your doubts are also clarified and we can go ahead with more clarity. Please unmute yourself. Sir.
Last session, we told them to, do some activities related to gross motor skills and check if the children are on par with their age. Accordingly, their kinesthetic intelligence IQ had to be measured. So if any of the parents who are already in the house, if you have implemented and if you wish to share your experiences, it would be lovely.
I'm sure one of you would have done that. All right. If you people are a little shy to share.
Shy to share, I don't mind. Shy to share, I don't mind, but not done anything, I would mind. If they haven't implemented anything. Because, see, the very idea of attending such sessions, spending time is not a joke. Not every parent does that.
Absolutely.
So once you have attended, we have to be equally serious to implement the sessions.
Danny, I'm sure you were there the last session and, so did you get a chance to, make your child jump, walk and see how it correlates to what you learned in our previous session? Would you like to share with us what your experience was? So you have a shy crowd today.
Actually, I didn't attend the session last week because of network connection. I didn't attend both classes.
Sure. All right, Andy. My mistake.
So I didn't know what happened. Yeah, I didn't know what happened last week.
Tani, just to give a heads up, we talked about the cognitive age and how the officer will be much better to help you out with that.
We differentiated between chronological age and mental age. Then we understood that the intelligences include even intelligences like kinesthetic intelligence, multiple intelligence, musical intelligence, etc. So we discussed the theory of multiple intelligence and we tried to calculate IQ levels of parents. We did a psychometric assessment related finding IQ levels of parents. Then in terms of motor skills, how to identify IQ of the child. So age group wise, I have given some activities. Each activity had to be performed with the child and check whether they are able to do it or not. And accordingly, we had to identify the IQ level of child in terms of kinesthetic intelligence. That is gross motor intelligence. So this was done in the last. Shall we start the session, Swapna?
Yes, sir.
8 minutes.
Yeah, we have to respect these participants' time and yours too.
So let me start sharing the screen. So welcome all the passionate mothers to yet another session of Montessori, where we believe every parent can be a teacher. Every parent can be a teacher and help the children maximum. Again, the biggest concern of these sessions is biggest mistake parents do is depend completely on school. Because I run my own schools and I run my own institutions, and I notice that parents feel identifying a good school, their responsibility is over. One simple common sense thing everyone knows but still doesn't believe and proceed is that for us, only one child for school, there are hundreds of children. So how much ever they try, they can only facilitate the child growth. They cannot closely, individually monitor child's growth. So if the mother or father, if the parent is equipped with everything that school needs to accomplish, the knowledge of everything that school needs to accomplish, so whatever the shortcomings are there, parents will be able to identify and take the children forward. That is the ultimate purpose of this series of sessions. Now, today's concept was language and communication. The importance of language and communication, whether our children have it in them or not. If not, what? These questions we are going. The point to be noted here is children learn language in early childhood. Later, they use language to learn. I'll give you a very recent example. I was having a meeting with one of the campus's staff, and we were talking about the board examination that was supposed to start for second PUC students. It started yesterday. Now, I was asking one of the economics teachers how the commerce students are doing in his subject. Then he was telling there are some 4 students who are guarantee failures. Sir, I can't help. I was like a typical boss. I was questioning him. For 2 years, what are you doing? How could you say simply at the end of the year that I cannot pass that. Then he was telling me, sir, mine is a theoretical subject. Unlike accounts where they can just do calculations, mine is a theoretical subject where they need to write sentences, they need to express their answer. And these are the 4 children who cannot even make sense. We are talking about 12th outgoing student whose age is 17 to 18 years. And the teacher is complaining that these children cannot make sentences, they cannot read properly or write. By the way, including their mother tongue Kannada. Even Kannada teacher was complaining these children are from Karnataka, but they cannot, express properly. So if in early childhood the language is not learned effectively, later all other learnings will be automatically affected. So development of language and communication in the early childhood is very crucial. So we'll be understanding the technicalities behind it. Then we will be understanding how to assess our child, where he or she is standing, and then what activities we need to do too. So one very important question to the parents who are with us right now: have you made any conscious efforts since your child's birth to develop his or her communication and language? Any of you? If you did, you must explain us. Have you made any conscious efforts since your child's birth to develop any language and communication? And there is one quote in Sanskrit, I think, Maunam Arthangikaram. So if nobody responds, I'll assume that you have done nothing. If you have done something, you have to explain.
Come on, ladies. You would have participated in your child's learning somewhere.
No, conscious effort. Unknowingly, if they have done fine, but they must have been knowing, I'm doing this for this purpose.
Anita is saying that the child was with her grandparents.
Okay, child was with the grandparents. Anita ma'am, have you checked with your parents or your baby's grandparents that have they made any such efforts? You can unmute and speak. No, you are muted, ma'am. Will not be able to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have tried. I have discussed.
Tarani ma'am is saying she tried introducing but failed. Sheetal ma'am said she has used flashcards and books. That was fantastic. Super. I'm happy there were some efforts. Tarani ma'am, please don't think you have failed, because your efforts should have surely directly or indirectly helped the child. The outcome of it you will come to know surely. So don't think that you did not get any immediate results because of which your efforts were wasted. Okay, there will be surely some result of. There will be some subconsciously the child will be observing you, taking the benefits of your activities. So please don't stop doing it. Continue doing it. That's very important. Now, at least let us learn how to make conscious efforts in developing child's communication and language. Now, let us learn something. If you are already aware of this, I'm very glad. If not, as I told you, first let us learn some technicalities, then we'll be able to implement things better. So there are 5 components of language. And by the way, it is the evolutionary order of child learning a language. Of course, sometimes things might happen parallelly also, but in this order, generally children develop their language. The first one, morphology. That is the structure of words and construction of word form. That means whether they are able to assemble the syllables, assemble the letters, and make words or not. Like in a very childhood, a child would have told mama, maybe because repeatedly when the child was still making mumbling sounds, you must have started repeatedly asking them, say mama, say dada, say mama, say dada. Listening to it continuously. At some point, child starts saying. Then child started developing the morphology of language. That is the first step of it. Then syntax. That is making more than one, putting more than one words together and trying to make a sentence. You know very well, there should be a proper order. But children initially may not have the syntax. Later, continuously using the language, they will learn it. For example, my daughter until 6 months back, she used to say, I love, she used to say, Nana, I love. That means dad, I love. Not I love dad. Means the order of words was wrong. But still, her expression is conveyed. Her love for me is conveyed. But still, she could not make a right syntax. Now, recently, she started making the sentence correctly. I love dad. And dad loves me also, she is saying now. The other subject means she is making me subject sometimes. She is making herself subject sometimes. She is able to put the syntax correctly now. So that is what is syntax. A, alphabet A should sound as A. Alphabet B should sound as B. And when both of them are joined up, the child should be able to say. Alphabet C sounds as K. This is what is called phonology. What letter sounds as what, and how to use those sound combinations to make a right pronunciation. That comes to phonology. So syntax and phonology have to be developed parallelly, relatively. Then comes semantics, the system that governs meanings of words and sentences. That means initially, yes, Sheetal ma'am, phonics, short sounds and long sounds. Initially, children just use the words without knowing their meaning. But as they grow, they'll be able to understand what they are talking, express it clearly, and then present it to us. And that's what we mean by semantics. Now, lastly, but most importantly, the most evolved stage of language is pragmatic. That is, whatever the language components they have learned, morphology, syntax, phonology, semantics, using them for appropriate communication, using them to make their things, to get their things done. Like coming to you and saying, Mama, I'm feeling hungry, feed me some. Or coming to you and saying, Mama, I have to go to bathroom, help me, guide me. Likewise, if they are able to finally get their things done by clearly communicating things accordingly to you, this is the time where maybe you can start their potty training. You can start, slowly reduce the usage of diapers for them, because they are able to express things. They are able to communicate what they are feeling physiologically as well as mentally using the language that they have learned so far. Then it will be very convenient for you to start their all kinds of trainings at that. So these are the 5 components of language. Now, first thing you need to immediately do, if you are noting down there what is being discussed, first thing you need to immediately do is check at which stage your child is right. Is she, has she or he mastered the morphology? Did she or he master the syntax? Did the child, does the child pronunciate the syllables correctly? Okay, so does my child know what she means when she is speaking? At the same time, is my child able to express her feelings correctly so that she can accomplish her needs with me, or father, whoever that. So check which aspects your child has already mastered, which aspects your child hasn't. Now let us see by what age they should have mastered what. If that is understood, then you can compare and see whether your child is lagging behind or advanced. Again, linguistic intelligence week, what we are talking about, like we discussed in the last session, there are 8 types of intelligences. Linguistic intelligence is one of. Last time we assessed IQ, we understood how to calculate IQ for kinesthetic intelligence. Now, how do we calculate IQ for linguistic intelligence? For their age, what are they supposed to learn? What they should have already got command on. If they got it, their IQ is 100. If they are below that, their IQ is below 100. If they are above that, if they are already advanced, then their IQ is above 100. By 3 months, child will be cooing and gurgling. By 6 months, they will be babbling some sounds. By 12 months, by the time they reach 1 year, they should have spoken the first words. In the last session, when Mrs. Brenda was asking some question towards the end, this is what exactly I was mentioning. Please maintain a journal about your child's progress. If you have maintained, you would know whether your child has IQ levels on par with the chronological age, or whether their mental age and intellectual age, cognitive age, developing on par with their chronological age. If you were not maintaining a journal all along, I would sincerely suggest you start maintaining a journal to observe your child's progress and note it. Okay, so by 12 months they should have spoken their first words. Even if they are not clear, that's fine. By 1.5 years, they should be able to speak 5 to 40 words, and by the time they reach 2 years, 2 to 3 word sentences they should be able to join 2 to 3 word sentences, and they should be able to make sense. Then 900 to 1000 words by the time 3 years, and they should be able to ask short questions. By 4 years, 2000 plus words and 5 plus word sentences they should be able to happily, eloquently speak. And lastly, by the time they reach 5 years, I know the group joining here is highest age is 5 to 6 years. They should be able to identify the alphabet letters, create longer sentences, make elaborate conversations, converse with you for a long time. If you are making any narration, they should be able to listen to you and reciprocate to your narration. They should be able to reason out things. Like suppose you ask, why didn't you tell me when you were suffering like this? They should be able to tell you the reason why they could not, why they, etc. So this is supposed to be the progress in their linguistic. So please make a note of, you can have a screenshot of this and see where your child stands right now as per their age. Are they meeting the requirements or not? If they are meeting the requirement, IQ, linguistic intelligence quotient is 100. If they are below the requirements, their linguistic intelligence quotient is below 100. If they are excelling this, then the IQ should be above 100. Hope all of you are following me. Any doubts or questions so far? All right, let me proceed. There are 4 ways of assessing child's language and communication. One is Phonological assessment, you understand the meaning of the word. Phonological assessment refers to checking whether the child is able to make the right pronunciations. Similarly, receptive language assessment, social communication assessment, expressive language assessment, I'll be talking about each one separately. So phonological assessment will be looking at the speech sounds that a child is making. Building blocks for effective speech, language, and communication means whether they are able to pronounce the words correctly or not. Are they mispronouncing the words? Number one. Number two, are they finding pronunciation of a particular syllable very difficult? Say, for example, most of the children have difficulty in making syllables or sounds that involve all the three components, that is upper lip, lower lip, as well as tongue. Are the components where tongue is caught between the teeth, like the words like the, when you say the tongue gets caught between the teeth. These pronunciations, some children really find it difficult, okay, for multiple reasons. Similarly, when they are reading or making spellings, they are confusing, are making errors. All these things, checking all these things come under phonological assessment. So to do phonological assessment, the only thing you need to do is try to get your fundamental phonics knowledge ready, and it is not difficult. You have hundreds of, I think I have a message, let me check. C and S confusion, C and K confusion. That's perfectly put forward, ma'am, Sheetal ma'am. That's absolutely correct. There is a confusion between pronunciating C and pronunciating S. C should be pronunciated as K, and K also is pronunciated as K, sounded as K, whereas S has to be pronunciated as S. Whereas sometimes what happens, C will be used as a sound. That is where children confuse, but that confusion is when they start reading. But before they start reading, as young children of 2 years or 3 years, if they are able to pronunciate correctly or not, upon you asking them to do. So hundreds of phonics based videos available in the internet. Watch them. A to Z, you please learn the phonic sounds of every letter and then keep making those letters. First, check whether your child is correctly able to pronunciate it. Then second step, whether they are able to blend the 4 syllables and pronunciate correctly or not. For example, as I already told, A should be pronounced as A, B should be sounded as B. Now, continuously you teach them A, B, B, B. Then join those two and say ab, 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 ab. As you say, the child should be able to repeat. Especially this is for children around 3 years, 3 to 4 years, who are just newly learning the language. For these children, this practice helps a lot. So keep trying that repeatedly and note down which are the syllables your child is finding very difficult to repeat. And those syllables have to be attempted repeatedly and check for a period of 2 to 3 months. If that is continuing, then we must consider speech therapy or something. That is a later, very extreme case, which most of the children won't need. Your continuous efforts of 1 to 2 months will surely ensure they will be back on. Then comes receptive language assessment. That is the way they understand the language or perceive it. See, there are 2 possibilities when you give instructions to the child. One, they say, suppose for example, you are asking the child, please bring that makeup, for example. There are two possibilities. One, child not caring at all, not responding to you at all, though listening, appearing to be not listening. Now, in such case, please understand, though your instruction is audible to the child is unable to understand and grasp the meaning of it, what exactly you are asking, because of which the child is not responding. Otherwise, for other things, he or she is responding. So immediate implementation you should start doing here is list out at least 5 instructions per day. I'm giving you concrete plans of action pair. Please understand this. List out 5 instructions per day for maybe 1 week. Just do homework for 1 week. 5 instructions. All the 5 should be different. So it comes out to be around, if you do 5 days, if you try, 25 instructions. Prepare 25 instructions, 5 per day for 5 days. Keep asking the child to follow that instruction. Tell them and ask them to do it, accomplish it. And you have to plan your instructions, length of your instruction, that complexity of the task based on the age of your child. If the child is 5 to 6 years, the task should be more complex and length of instruction should be more. That should contain more number of words to assimilate. If the child is between 3 to 4 years, relatively less number of words in your instruction, and the task given also should be less complex. You are understanding? Hope you are understanding what I'm trying. So we prepare over 25 instructions, 5 per day. You give today's 5 instructions and see how child responds. And please, the instructions should not be scheduled for a single moment, like, okay, now I got some leisure, so now I'll sit and do this activity for my child. Okay, next to 20 minutes, back to back 5 instructions. Does not work, because child will be bored, child will be tired, and child will be frustrated. We don't want to generate that in the child. So those 5 instructions have to be spread across the day based on the time availability. 1 or 2 you implement in the morning, 1 or 2 in the afternoon, or if you have only evening available because you are a working person and you can meet the child only in the evening, then at least spread it across 3 to 4 hours. Okay, now today we gave 5 instructions. You see how child is responding to each of the one for which he or she did not respond effectively, did not do the task correctly, or did not follow what you were saying. Note it down and carry it forward to the next 4 days. Means adding to the 5 instructions you wrote for the later days, you will be adding this one, assuming out of 5 only 1 is like that. If too many instructions we have given today, the child is unable to repeat, then please hold the rest of the day's planning and repeat these things only daily until the child comes back to that. This exercise being done for 1 to 1.5 months, if child is able to pick up and newer instructions, he or she is able to grasp quickly and respond to them, then you are the child is going on the right track. If that is not happening, 1 to 2 months of efforts also, the child is unable to follow your instructions, unable to respond to them, unable to receive your instructions properly and respond to them, then child might be requiring a speech therapy. There are multiple disorders related to speech, and please don't think that is any big problem for the child. See, situations like autism, etc. are quite common at the early days, and that could be due to multiple reasons. So don't panic over that. Just consult the right person and get the speech therapy done and bring the children back to track. So when you are unable to do it, you would need a professional. But believe me, 90 children out of 100 would not need it. Okay. So when you give instructions, child should be able to comprehend what you told and understand and then respond to your instruction. For that, you need to do this exercise 5 days a week, at least 4 weeks continuously. Then are they able to communicate to their peers using a simple language? Or if they are fighting with the peers, are they able to come back and complain to you? Or whether if you are asking for multiple repetitions of the same thing, are they able to correctly do it every time? These things you need to. Social communication and social skill assessment. That means you have to check whether the child is strong at verbal and non-verbal communication. So far what we discussed was strengthening verbal communication. Next one is non-verbal communication. That is using gestures, using hand movements, okay, or using expression. So whether the child is able to follow your hand gestures or not. For example, you wave the hand and ask them to come near you. Is the child able to look at you, grasp what you are saying? Because this comes to communication. Language and communication are two different things. And communication every time does not need language. All of us know that. So whether the child is able to receive your hand gestures and able to respond to that. When talking, does the child make a clear eye contact with you? Okay. So whether the child conveniently mingles with his or her peers, all these things come under social communication and social skills assessment. These things can be assessed just by observing the child problem. You need not do any special task for this. Just observe the child problem. Lastly, expressive language assessment. And this you expect for children of above 4 years. After reaching 4 years, child should be able to express things in a varieties of manner. If not, that means if they have limited vocabulary, they are unable to use more words. They are unable to, follow the jumbled sentence. Or if they are unable to make the proper speech sound, okay? Or they are speaking slowly, taking time, stammering, stuttering, and taking a lot of time to speak. Or they are unable to put the narratives, what they want to say, in a proper order. If you find problem in any one of these issues, then you understand that child is able to express himself or herself. Okay. So again, going back to the 4 things, whether they are able to sound the words correctly or not, phonological assessment. Then whether they are able to follow the instructions or not, receptive assessment. Whether they are able to understand non-verbal communication and mingle with people or not, social communication assessment. And whether they are able to ask you what they want or expressive assessment, expressive languages. These 4 you need to check in your child. child. After assessing everything and after doing those exercises which I was mentioning, so what else is the way children learn things? That is, language is learned big time by observing you. Language is learned big time by looking at you and listening to you. How many of you, when your child was very young, say just born to few months to 1 year, how many of you used to continuously talk to the child, whether in the presence of anybody else or in the absence of anybody else? Did any of you used to continuously talk to the child? Tarini ma'am, that's fantastic. You used to do that. Yeah, Sheetal ma'am used to express her feeling. Now, those who did not do it, can you tell me why you did not do it? Why do you think you did not do it? Why didn't you get that idea of talking to them? If I have to analyze that, what I feel is, we think that child does not know to speak, so she doesn't understand. Please understand, from the very, very tender age, children are very closely observing you, your language, your movements, your gestures, everything, and learning by every act that you exhibit before. That's why more you have spoken to them in the young age, more they would have learned the language. Next question. Did any of you sing lullabies to them when they were children? Not putting songs in your phone, you singing with your own voice, whether you are a good singer or one parent did that. We are not getting the name there. And those who did not do it, you thought that you are not a good singer. Any language, ma'am, mother tongue or Cheetal ma'am, that's fantastic. Mother tongue or any language. If you did not do it, Sabira ma'am or anybody, you might have thought I am not a good singer or why to sing and all. Please understand, your lullaby makes a very, very, very huge difference in learning and reception of the language. Now, nevertheless, that's fine, ma'am. Arabic song, that's what I'm saying. Language does not matter at all. Language does not matter at all. If you sung to your child, you are developing comprehension skills of your child. You know why? When you are singing, fantastic, Tarani ma'am, singing rhymes also is perfect. When you are singing, the child is interpreting the meaning and they are developing language back of their mind. So, two things here. One, even if your child is 2 years now, 3 years now, 4 years or 5 years now, please start singing to them. Now, they learn you continuously. First 2-3 days back to back, you sing the same song to them. And see, after the third day, I am telling you something I have exactly implemented with my daughter and saw fantastic results, which I am going to show you also, by the way. So, please understand what I am trying to say. Sing a song continuously 3 or 4 days, 2 times a day like that, same song. And after third day or fourth day, sing a line or sing a sentence and middle of it, you stop it and check whether your child comes to fill in or whether your child, comes to fill that sentence or. Because, yes, ma'am, what result did you notice, Anita, when you checked it?
Yes, sir. Sir, I sang the Hanuman Chalisa. Now my daughter is singing with me now.
Fantastic. Is she able to remember the lines also?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She knows the that we say swara. Swara she knows, but she's singing.
Fantastic. Tune she is able to follow. Exact words she is unable to read. Super. Very soon you will see her singing that song very clear. Okay. So they are going to learn the language in a fabulous way. That was going to be my next slide actually. The power of music in early literacy development. It improves their phonological awareness. It refines their auditory discrimination. Listen to this carefully. Difference between sounds. Because in song, the syllables are rhythmic and there will be some rhyming also in the words. Because of that, what happens? They'll be able to differentiate between the sounds. They'll be able to understand the sequencing of the words and they will develop the listening and attention skills, and automatically it enhances their speaking skill. And obviously they'll become fantastic. Proofs are there. Within 10 minutes, I'll be able to show you the proofs. Okay. So if you have not initiated musical intervention to your child so far, you please, today itself, you start. You may be a very bad singer. Does not matter. First you sing. Start with your singing. Then slowly you can use the digital medium, but only audio, no video. Showing a song or watching a song, listening to a song makes a huge difference in language development. If you are showing the video of the song to the child, what happens, whatever the song words are coming, their visuals are there. So child has nothing to interpret or nothing to decode from that song. Whereas if they are silently listening, as you can see here, they are able to discriminate the words, sequence the words, sequence the sounds, and they're paying attention to listen to it. So with audio, you should be able to make them listen as many songs as possible in how many other languages as start with the mother tongue first, then add as many languages as possible. So as I was explaining you already, sing out loud, then sing lullabies and nursery rhymes. You can do that for all the age groups until 6 years. Sing slowly, make mistakes deliberately, not in the beginning. After you initiate this, after 1 week or 10 days of your child starting to follow your singing, follow your lines, then you deliberately start making mistakes and check whether the child is responding to that. And you play instruments and you make the child play instruments. Sing every day, as I was telling you already. And as I already asked you, suddenly stop singing and see if the child comes to fill in. And these are fantastic ways of developing language for you. If you haven't done it yet, it is the time to do it. Please don't delay. Last, before I go to, I was saying I'll show you proofs related to language development. Before I go to do that, so always sit face to face to the child while talking. Child talks whenever, how much ever busy work you are in. If the child talks to you, stop what you are doing, look into their eyes, then only you answer them. Or whatever the case might. Child is coming and scratching you or patting you to look into their eyes, and whenever you speak, look into their eyes. Number one. Number two, when you are giving instructions, please wait for enough amount of time for the child to respond, and don't lose patience if they are late to respond. It depends. Now you repeat the instructions, talk to them repeatedly, their response time will reduce and they will be responding quicker than previous. Unfortunately, parents give up in the early stage. Please don't give up. Each child requires their own time. Then number three, whenever you are trying to give them some, please keep choices. Like suppose, just don't take a plate full of food that you want to feed them and just go and run behind them. Child, please eat, please eat. No. Before you want to feed them only, say maybe half an hour before or 1 hour before you want to feed them only, ask them, what do you want in your lunch? We do the same thing to our daughter. Morning, soon after, she is 2 years, 8 months now, by the way. She is about to reach 3 years. Morning, necessarily soon after her brushing, she will have a cup full of Cerigro with milk. Now that we generally don't give choice because she is also prepared mentally by the time she eats that. Then after 1 hour or 2 hours, the breakfast, what she is going to have, my wife always keeps 2-3 choices in her hand. So she'll be asking the child, baby, whether you want dosa or you want to have puffed rice or something else. So 2-3 choices she asks and waits for the child to ask and listen. Now, recently what is happening, the fabulous observation I made while driving the car. We were driving, my wife asked me to stop at a bakery and she wanted to purchase some bakery items for home. She purchased items, got into the car, she sat. Within 2 minutes of she sitting in the car, child is asking, Mama, what all you got? You look at the consequence of, consequence in expression of the child as a result of us giving choices to. Mama, what all you got? She was explaining, I have got rava cake, okay. I have got pakoda, okay. I have got some other item, jamun, gulab jamun, she said. Immediately my daughter said, gulab jamun we will eat at home. Pakoda you can give me now. This was the exact conversation happening between mother and daughter. The guy driving in the driving seat, me, was so excited. My child is able to clearly ask for things by checking what her mother has in her. So that is the beauty. So giving choices on a daily basis develops their thinking of asking for choices. When they are thinking of choices, obviously they want to express it. When they want to express it, automatically language. Parents, am I making sense? Am I making sense? And these are very small things, but make big difference in language learning. Then, believe me or not, for a 6 months child, some these encyclopedias or DK books will come. I used to read out solar system book to my daughter for a 6 months child. Doesn't matter whether she is following or not. Doesn't matter whether she is interested or not. Doesn't matter whether she is listening or not. Let her be doing her own things. Don't worry. You read to her. No problem. Similarly, whenever they are trying to talk to you and they finish a sentence, immediately follow the lead and respond. And try to question them also by following their lead. Singing, I have already told you. And then every day, towards the end of the day, you narrate to them how you have spent the day. I went here, I went there, I did that, I did this, I interacted with so-and-so uncle. Your child may or may not know that uncle, doesn't matter. Your child may or may not know that aunt, doesn't matter. Explain them. Narrate it to them how it went. alphabet. Okay. Then what is communication temptation? This is very simple. You generate a topic that generates interest in the mind of the child to talk to you. Okay. So communication temptations, what example can I give you is, say you start like, next week, do you think we will visit a mall? Next week, do you think shall we visit a mall? Whether you will visit or not doesn't matter. You can convince them later. But to strike a conversation, come on, what would you do? Recently, I took my daughter to a mall. Before going only, I told her very clearly, 3 activities I mentioned very clearly. One, I said there will be a play area in that mall. You will be playing there for half an hour or so. I told her the charges of play also. Then I know she's fond of donuts, and I know that place has the softest donuts we get there. So I told, you will be getting a very soft donut. I'll be feeding you a donut. Then there is Hamleys also, from where I purchase our puzzles regularly. I told, what are all the puzzles you are playing, those things are available in that shop. I'll be getting from that shop only. For the first time, you will be visiting that shop and selecting your own. This is what I explained her in detail previous night. So her schedule, her itinerary was clear before going to the mall. Sheetal ma'am, fantastic. She talks about their favorite chocolate. That's perfect, ma'am. So that way you have to, create an interest in what we do so that the children will be happy to participate in that conversation. Okay. Hope I have given you enough inputs. Now I'll show you a bit of evidences of how all these things work as magic. Parents, are you able to see a screen? Yeah, thank you. This is my daughter's YouTube channel. See, again, I am not doing anything to boast the things here. I am trying to tell you that if we do a conscious parenting, how things work out for the child. So clearly for your benefit. So various things we have done, to try to improve her language and communication. I'll not show you the whole videos and bore you. Don't worry. So this was when she was 20 months and 13 days, as I have mentioned here. What my wife used to do regularly is, whatever she holds in hand, whatever she uses at home, she used to repeatedly tell the child, Yodha, now I am, cutting potato. Yodha, now I am cutting apple for you. Yodha, these are grapes. They'll be sour if they are not ripened. They'll be sweet if they are ripe. Likewise, she used to continuously tell the names of the item. And after a while, we wanted to check how much she is following it. That's why we kept a test here for her. See, her pronunciation was not at all clear by that. She was calling seahorse as tihar, but still she knows what she is talking about. Okay. So this is one activity where we continuously tell them the words of the articles or anything that we are using at home, and then check whether they are able to follow those names and they are able to reciprocate those names or not. Similar thing was done here at an age of 22 months. She is responding in her mother tongue actually, because we felt that unless they become strong in mother tongue, English and other languages are not needed. Okay, audio is not audible. Let me increase the sound maybe. We have the full volume map, but that's fine. If the audio is not very clear also, no problem. If the essence is understood, that should be good. And you have got subtitles also there. So mother is asking her various kitchen groceries and she is responding in whatever the language she remembers. Few she is using English words to answer. Few she is using Telugu words to answer, which is her mother tongue. This is one thing we did. Then second thing we did to make her recognize the alphabet was this one. Yesterday also in one of the physical parenting sessions we did here, I was telling that parent that she is unable to second standard child unable to recognize the alphabet. Then I told, please don't rely upon only writing on paper or showing the things printed on paper. Go for the carved letter, preferably the wooden letter. If we could use the shaped up letters and make them recognize the shapes of the alphabet using such letters, it will be very convenient. Now what a video you are going to watch, I have asked my daughter to tell which alphabet is which by showing her the alphabet. And for that, the number of exercises we did with her before taking this video were only 2 times. Only 2 times we explained her each of the 26 alphabet, which alphabet they are. And here was the rest. I am asking her to pick up the alphabet which I have told. She has to recognize the alphabet which I am asking and she has to pick it up. Hope you understand the process and purpose behind it. This is one thing. Then to check whether she can remember things in the order or not, we used to continuously tell her days and months of the year and we asked her to repeat. By 23 months, she is able to tell months and days and numbers. I don't know whether the audio was audible or not, but she was telling the days of a week in that particular video. Now, is audio clear, ma'am, from these videos? Are you able to listen to the child's voice? Because one last thing I want to show and wind it up here. Oh, audio is not okay. Because we have got full volume in all the devices. I don't know why audio is not. Anyways, let me conclude. In one of her latest videos, my child could repeat. I've asked her to do the poetry recitation of Where the Mind is Without Fear. And she could repeat what I was reading out, Where the Mind is Without Fear, with almost 80% accuracy. Since unfortunately the audio is not clear for you, you'll not be able to follow that. But what I'm trying to tell you is a 2-year, 8 months child able to respond to a complex poetry and repeat a complex poetry. That was because of continuous efforts from her almost 1 year age done to regularly communicate with her, trying to make her speak. Now, I have just explained you, various levels in which they have to learn. My child is now 2 years, 8 months, but she is on par with 4-year-olds to 4 to 5-year-olds in terms of making sentences and in terms of communicating reception as well as expression, both the things. And that came with clear conscious efforts, starting from singing lullaby when she was an infant. From the day one of she came home from hospital. I would have sung at hospital also, but I was hesitating, feeling shy. But from the very first day of she coming home from hospital, I started singing for her. My wife hesitates singing, so I took that responsibility because I love singing. So any one parent at home should be able to take this responsibility. So there should be conscious efforts made, like I explained so far in the session, so that the language can be developed. I repeat and reiterate, unless children are strong with their language, their learning after going to higher classes with subjects like science, mathematics, social studies, all will be in a problem. So please try to implement these things and try to pick your child's language and try to check whether their linguistic intelligence quotient is above 100 or not. If not, start implementing these activities and you can notice very soon them reaching above 100 IQ in linguistics. Okay, Shania madam has joined just now. We are about to close the session, ma'am. So parents, I am open to any Q&A for 5 minutes. I have a class at 4:30, so we need to wind it up. So if you have any questions, you can quickly shoot. I can answer. Anybody, any questions? That's fine then. Thank you. Thank you, Sheetal ma'am. I have been doing this for over 13 years, but still I'm yet to learn a lot. How to talk English to my baby. Ma'am, see, again, whatever the language might be, language comes automatically if you start expressing with the children. So there is no problem if you wish to speak English. But what I would suggest is start with mother tongue first. Once your child gets fullest command in mother tongue, I mean, whatever the parameters we were mentioning, by this age, they should be able to make words. By this age, they should be able to make sentences. If these parameters match exactly and we are able to, do things, then automatically other languages can be. Other parent is asking, my child is 3.5 years. He speaks Kannada, but finding it difficult in understanding English. Ma'am, if you feel that your child has got enough command on Kannada, then start communicating to him in English now. Don't worry. Once they understood the form of language, they understood the shape of language and communication, which language does not matter at all. So if your child was good at grasping Kannada, he will be good at grasping English also. So now, because you feel his Kannada is at a fairly good level, you can start communicating with him in English. That is what we started doing recently. We understood Telugu, she is well versed now. She is speaking very nicely. So we started conversing her in English. And we started parallelly conversing her in Kannada also. So now she is able to make simple sentences in English as well as Kannada. Simple word sentence. So believe me, by your child crosses 6 years, you can teach them 5 languages. That is child's ability. We can teach them 5 different languages and they'll be able to learn the fundamentals of 5 different languages. Only you should know that. Ma'am, that's a fantastic question you asked. Ma'am is asking, he doesn't want to hear English at all. He doesn't want to listen to English at all. Once I start using English words, he moves around. Honestly, I've already answered this question. Whether they are appearing to be listening to you or not, whether they are responding to you or not, whether they are following you or not, they are following your language. It is going to their subconscious. Your framing of words, your framing of sentences, your context of using the words, everything is going and registering in their mind. So if he is not caring, you don't stop, because He appears to be not caring, but he would be caring. He is listening to you. He is following. I'll give you one very interesting example. When my child was maybe around 1.5, 2 years, in between 1.5, 2 years, we were about to plan her second birth. During that time, one day what happened? She was playing somewhere, some sides she was playing. She was not even closer to us. She was in her play area, and me and my wife were conversing. When me and my wife were conversing, she said, for some context, I don't remember exactly what it was. My wife said, she's a donga pilla, means thief child. To literally translate, thief child. She did something. She was talking about something vicious that the child has. I told, no, my daughter is not donga pilla. My daughter is manchi pilla, means good child. I argued with my wife that she is a good child. She did not seem to be bothering about our conversation at all, because she was doing some activity in her activity area. Next day morning, she was in her swing. I was bending my head into the swing and looking at her, thinking that she is still sleeping. Suddenly, actively, she opened eyes and smiled at me. When she opened eyes and smiled at me, I said, "Oh, donga pilla, you are acting as if you are sleeping." Immediately, she corrected me and said, "I am not donga pilla, I am manchi pilla. I am a good girl, I am not a bad." Means yesterday she seemed to be not caring about our conversation. Looking at the context, she used that word exactly to fight with me and contradict my statement. This is a fabulous experience. I remember, and I share it to as many parents as possible when I get a context. Means please understand, they may be running around. They may be busy with their own activities, but they are listening you, they are following you. Please don't stop doing. Hope I have answered your question, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Sheetha
Yes, ma'am.
here. I just
Yes.
wanted to know how to teach a regional language. For example, I'm from Bangalore.
Okay.
So in schools, Kannada is
Kannada is needed. Yes.
and I'm also a online tutor, and I teach
Okay.
all the subjects. Many parents come to me asking to teach Kannada. Okay. I can teach them basics. I can teach them everything like amma, like that. I can teach them. But how do I make them learn the language? Like they have to talk. In that way, I want to understand. How do I go about it?
Ma'am, language has two parts. One is speech, the other one is script. Now, script is school's tension. Script school has to take it. To some extent, if you could start at home, well and good. But when it comes to speech and communication, the best way of doing it is conversing with. As I have been repeatedly telling you, please keep talking to them, making them understand the context, and try to translate it to the language that they already know. So repeat your sentences in both languages.
To every class, I give them like 10 words and give them English meanings. So first, I'm working at increasing the vocabulary. So very soon, I want them to talk in the language.
That will be a bit regressive if you really want to practically teach the language. Because see, again, the problem is if we follow procedure, child feels I am being burdened with some instruction. We should not follow procedure. We should not teach them.
I play games actually. I give them those 10 words as a spelling test. I'll tell them, let me see how you score and write the meanings. If you're familiar with the word, please write down the meanings. So let me see how many you know.
What age groups you are dealing with?
Pardon?
What age groups you are dealing with?
Sir, I have from right from 4 years till 17 years. I have all the students.
Okay. Variety of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do one-on-one because I want to give quality.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. So what the exercise you are doing is more suitable for children of 6+ years, ma'am. 6+ years, because by then already they would have learned writing the script. They would have understood. They would have, the process of schooling or the process of learning would have become familiar for them.
Okay.
So they will reciprocate to you. But for the young children, if they are between 4 and 6, you just keep conversing with them in terms of, singing rhymes to them in that particular language.
Okay.
And then explaining meaning of that in terms of a story.
Okay.
Like yesterday, there was a rhymes book, a board book at home. And she will be, from picture, she recognizes which rhyme is that. So she asked me, Appa, Jack and Jill, what is to tell me the story of Jack. Then I first sing Jack and Jill went up the hill. Then I narrate the story behind it in English. Then I translate it in Telugu.
Okay.
So that way she is able to pick the language also and understand the meaning also. For 4 to 6, this works. For 6+, what you are following is absolutely perfect.
Thank you, sir.
I'm very happy you are able to interact and, train so many children.
Thank you. And your sessions are very, very nice. And I just run and come and I ensure it I don't miss. But today it was like lunchtime, right?
Thanks.
Suddenly something slipped off my mind.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. It's my pleasure. Okay. So with all your permission, let me end today's meeting. It was very pleasure interacting with all of you. I request you, these things work like magic. I request you to please implement these things without fail.